Hello, YouTube. It's your boy Vibes. And I know it's been quite a while. I think it's been probably like 2-3 months. My bad. Had a bunch of things going on with school and different types of work. And I've been making some major strides with my digital work as well, which is also another reason why I haven't been posting. But today, as you've probably seen from the title, I'm just going to give a couple of tips and tricks on things that I learned that'll help your art feel a little bit more finished, at least in the style that I work in. So let's hop right into it. But here I was trying to emulate something along the lines of League of Legends, and I think it turned out pretty good, honestly. So basically what I'm going to talk to you about is just finishing up character design, or not design, but like the character painting, and what you can do to get like that little taste of life that, you know, makes the character stand out a bit more. First off, we're going to talk about sketching. So I'm going to show you guys what I did at the start. So this is the original sketch that I went with. But this isn't what I actually started with. But I think having a good sketch, as you can see, I pretty much colored straight over it. The good sketch actually helps you to have the ideas of where values are supposed to go on a more detailed scale. Originally, I started off with this layer right here that I'm about to show you. Oh, that's not enough layers gone. This character by itself took 42 layers to make. So this is the original posing and composition that I made, just to, you know, figure out the pose that I wanted and where the light source was supposed to be, how many light sources there are, just so that I can understand where the light's supposed to be, so that when I start coloring, I'm able to shade correctly and put things in the correct spots. So here, as you can see, the light source is about somewhere around here, because it needs to be able to hit right here. There's probably about two of them actually, because there's one that's coming down up here, and then there's another one that is coming on the left side that's hitting probably right there. So it's probably the same light source, but it's like two different rays hitting at the same time. So using a quick composition like this, I'm just gonna raise the opacity so you can see that I basically used three values. One for the basic local colors, one value for highlights, and then one for shadow. So this way, when I created the sketch, I knew where I wanted the lights, the lights and the darks, where I wanted them to be on the sketch and on the painting, and I represented that by coloring it in where everything is darker. I'm gonna get rid of this layer so you can see. Here, as when I finish, you'll see that this is all black. Here's at the bottom where the weapon is. You'll see that the color, or that I shaded in with a little bit of hatching, is where the shadow would be. Next, I can't say it's a pro tip, but you know, it's a tip. Work with as many layers as you need to. I feel like before, when I was doing painting, I had an issue with trying to put it all onto one layer, and it never really worked out, at least not as well as how this turned out, in my opinion. So don't be afraid to work with a lot of layers. Like here you see that I pretty much just made one layer for all the local colors, which is all the flat colors that you're going to work with before any type of shadows or highlights. And then later on I continue. As you can see, it already got more dimension because I used a multiply layer to add to it to create shading. So running with or using multiple layers, feeling free to not just put all the shading on one layer, but doing multiple layers of shading will allow you to be able to have more freedom in how you shade. And when you're doing highlights as well. Like I'm gonna run through each layer so you can see the differences that come with it. Like here's the first highlight layer, just to get the ideas of where the light was coming from. This one I did an overlay, I believe. Yes, an overlay layer, because this character, as you saw at the beginning, was an ice character. So, you know, they usually have to have like a cold appearance. So, adding a overlay layer and then drawing with basic, I believe it was just straight blue over it, gives them a cooler tone on the entire armor, or the entire piece, so that it adds more to the ice character. Or at least one more tip that I can give is on this layer, I don't know if you can see the differences, but I actually started adding little bits of line art, because basically I painted everything before, but there's when I started to add line art to, you know, created sharp points and clean edges so that things didn't look sloppy. And that's one important thing about getting a finished look, is going through your work meticulously to find ways to make it look finished and complete. That way, you know, you can't get criticism for not taking enough time to put into it. Like you have to make sure that you just put a lot of time into the finite things, making sure that your art just looks finished. So, and this isn't even the finished line work, but this is just to, you know, help me to figure out exactly where I want the lines, how clean I want them to look before I even continue with the shading and highlighting. Now I'm starting to go into trying to create more of an atmosphere, since I knew what type of environment I was going to put behind the character, which I believe you've already seen. It's kind of a snowy area. Add to the cold idea of it. And now I'm just going over with hue and saturation to try and give it a cooler feel. Actually, I'm surprised that it got a little bit brighter, but I think it worked for the type of area that you're in. So now I'm going through and highlighting even more. I'm going to zoom in so you guys can see exactly what I'm talking about. I did small things like these little dots here and there. I feel like, for me personally, my style, I feel like that just, you know, works well with the work that I've done. It just seems to look good, and I don't see too many people doing it. I like to be a little different. And next, this is really important, actually. This right here is what we call bounce light. I think adding bounce light will definitely add to making your art piece more believable and more realistic. And I think it really helps with a style like this as well if you're going for it. So as I stated before, just an understanding of how light works for your character can help them to help you to make that finished look, make it more realistic, give the character more life, and make the character stand out. And understanding the environment that you plan to have the character. So if I were to give tips and tricks on, or a list of things that to pay attention to in order to give your piece more life, I'd suggest it this way. It'd be one, have good planning. Plan out your composition and your piece. Understand where you want your light source to be and what your environment is going to be like if you plan to do an environment. Two, have a good understanding of how light works and how shadows work. Light, usually a piece most likely has more than one light source or a place where light comes from. That's entirely important to keep track of. So just paying attention to that can do wonders for your art piece. Three, understanding how shadows work, as I said, between there being form shadows and cast shadows. I might have to do a video on that. Nothing too crazy, but it's quite important. Form shadows and cast shadows are important to understand in order to make the shadows look like actual shadows and not just something plopped there. And three, finish line work. You don't have to work with line art because it's digital painting, or it's whatever you want it to be. You don't have to work with line art. I feel like if you want to get a finished piece or a finished look on a piece, you do want to just go through meticulously, maybe like spend like 30 minutes to an hour after you feel like you're done, just to go through and just clean up some lines that you feel like you might have missed, or just look through your piece and see if you found anything that you might have missed. Yeah, I think those are my three major tips for anything. If there's any other topics that you guys want me to talk about, or if you guys want to have like a speed paint or anything like that, please let me know in the comments. Yeah, but be sure to like, subscribe, comment if you any type of art challenges or anything that you want me to do. Hopefully I'm back on the grind. Yeah, this is my face, by the way. I forgot to say that I revealed it like a month ago on my Instagram, so if you've been there, you've been known what I look like. But on YouTube, hello, this is me. And sorry for my room, but one of these days I'm gonna get past that. But anyways, hope you guys enjoyed the video and keep making art.